Many blessings. Hello. I am Rebecca, and this is my full moon video for Pillars of the Moon. So, yeah, welcome. Welcome. For the next little while, I'm just going to be talking about the energies of this full moon and what it's representing for us seasonally and astrologically, and marrying the two together as one. So, yeah, so this is a full moon today, Thursday here in England. So the full moon will be at 22:05 GMT, which is London time. So that is today at 22:05 in the evening. And in the lifetime sky in 13 star sign astrology, which I use, it will be in the constellation of Pisces. And the sun is still in Virgo in the lifetime sky. So yeah, so we have a Pisces and Virgo energy going on for this full moon. And it is a really powerful moon. Many of you are probably feeling it. It's very intense, very sensitive. It's like trigger happy at the moment with all the energies. I've kind of described it as like little bombs going off everywhere. You just say a few words and it could set off an explosion because we're all feeling quite sensitive at the moment, especially those of us who have got strong Pisces or Virgo energy in our chart. So yeah, I want to talk seasonally first about the season that we're in. And so this is going for the Northern Hemisphere where I live. And so there's a difference, you know, between the North and the South, and the different seasons of different parts of the world. And so when we're looking at the Northern Hemisphere, we're looking at England. Well, for me, I can really looking at my surroundings around me and what's happening. And so I read this morning, I'm reading this wonderful book, and I just wanted to read just a little bit from that this morning because it really struck with me. It's like a month by month journey where you journey through the seasons and the Celtic wheel of the year. And so the book is called Environmental Arts Therapy in the Tree of Life by Ian Siddons Hedgemworth. Some of you may have known of this book. So coming into October, and he says, October arrives and the days grow shorter and colder. The countryside is yellowing now and the leaves are beginning to crunch underfoot. The end of this cycle of growth is coming closer now, and we feel the crisp in the autumn air, our potential for change, the promise of a new cycle soon to begin. But we feel death too, all around us and within. As we walk through the forest and feel the old year dying around us, we can look down at the seeds of the year to come nestling once again, fallen among the leaves. All must die, but in the heart of death we find the seeds of life waiting. And so this is where we are at now. You know, in the wheel of the year, this is the last moon cycle before Samhain. And so in the Celtic wheel of the year, Samhain is the new year. This is when we celebrate New Year. Those of us who are use the Celtic wheel of the year and the Celtic calendar, like myself, Samhain is New Year, and that's because that's when the seed hits the soil. It's like when the semen hits the vagina. That's new life. You know, it's beginning, and so, and of course, death and birth come hand in hand. So, like Ian says, you know, it's like we're at this point now where we can see the death around us, you know, and we have harvest. You know, this is also connected to the harvest moon because we are harvesting all of the crops, you know. And but the thing is, when you harvest something, you know, part of it's dying as well. And quite often, you know, like with certain fruits and certain vegetables, you know, you harvest the whole plant. You know, you take a cabbage, it's the whole thing, you know. And so what we're eating is like the end, you know, and also it's the beginning, because it's the beginning of something new in that death time. So in the Pillars of the Moon calendar that I've been following for the last year now, this is the 13th moon. So this is the last moon before Samhain, and so Samhain is a new lunar year. So the moon that falls over Samhain is like, it's a new beginning, and so that represents the death moon. So the next new moon, which will be in 2 weeks, is the first moon of the 13. So we're starting a new cycle on the next new moon, and the next full moon will be at Samhain. So you can see the potency this year of the new beginning. And so for us here in the north, we are really harvesting now, and we're coming into reflection as well. It's like when we start to draw in all of the fruits and all of the vegetables and all of the things, all of the creations, of the year, it's all culminating and it's all coming to a close, and we're starting to draw our energy back into ourselves, and we're feeling our leaves start to fall. So we might be starting to let go of certain things that are not serving us. We say, actually, I don't need to do that, or I've done that, that's finished now. And so we're coming to this point of really starting to let go of things. And it's a really it's a changing time. And it's also can be quite triggering because we are going into the dark, and so the first 5 moons of the 13 are inner moons. And so now when we're going into our next moon, which is the first moon on the next new moon, which will be in 2 weeks, it's like we begin our inner journey, and that's the 5-pointed star of Venus. So as we come out in springtime, that's when we start our 8 outer journeys. And so we are now in the north at the end of the outer journey. It's like the golden sunshine, the golden kind of like rewards of all of our labor. It's like the 10 of discs in the tarot, it's like the end. And it's like, wow, giving thanks for a good harvest, but also honoring the change that is coming and letting go. And so honoring the grief and the sadness that comes up with the ending. It's like saying goodbye to the year and all that's happened and all the creation and all the beauty and the connections that we've made, because we're preparing to hibernate, and that's what the animals do. And I feel like this is what I'm preparing to do. I start to feel like I just want to nest. And so the Virgo energy is really helpful for us now, with the sun being in Virgo, because Virgo is incredible at clearing the nest. And so my South Node is in Virgo, so I'm very good at this. It's like, okay, we need to, and it's like we have a spring cleaning energy. And so for us here but we're in autumn, so it's like it's the cleansing and the change, of moving and cleaning, and we're preparing our nest for winter. Whereas you in the southern hemisphere, you're just coming out of your nest, so you're having to clear the way, to come out. And so shifting down into the southern hemisphere now, so like you who are in New Zealand, Australia, down there in this kind of part of the world, you are birthing, so in the pillars of the moon, I think you're in your 6th moon now. So you've done your hibernation, you've done your incubation, your womb time, and you've done the inner journey, and you've felt so much, and so lots of you now will be starting to feel this shift of like newness and spring energy bubbling up from within the womb. And so this is connected to the child, and it's like the birthing time. So you could feel this push now, this rush of energy to create and to move. And so the Pisces energy, which is the full moon in Pisces, now, like Pisces is that infinite consciousness of the womb. It's everything, and it's the baby in the womb. And so, it's kind of coming into spring now in the south. And so it's like that baby is getting ready, it's engaging, and it's starting to push, it's starting to come out. And so it's a really powerful time, to really focus your energy in the south on what is emerging, and to embrace that innocence and the newness of spring. And so all of the work and all of the healing that you've done in the inner realms, and all of the messages that you've received, what am I going to create this year? What are my values? What's important to me? Now you're starting to birth those things, those ideas that have been created in the womb space are now coming out to be seen. And that is such a powerful time. So in the south, you're birthing, you're coming out, and in the north, we're dying, we're going in. So you can see it's the opposite. And this is how the earth stays in balance. And, in the patriarchal kind of world of going, 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 it's like winter doesn't exist, autumn doesn't exist. We don't know how to grieve, we don't know how to let go, we hoard things, we hold on. And so what the cycle tells us about is like everything dies, and in death is the seeds of the new. So it's like having the faith to let go of everything, to just be, and to just be held, and to let go and become the oneness, become the dark, fall into the radiance that is the mother, and let her hold us in this womb time. And then, once we've done all of our healing, we've done all our integration of the last year, we birth again in spring. So I love the seasons and I love the cycle. And so I'm so passionate about this because I feel we live this, as women, every menstrual cycle, we flow through these seasons. And so we practice it. And then in the year, we practice it. And then in our life, we practice it. We go through different phases in our life cycle. So we go through our younger phase, and then our mothering phase, and then our older woman phase, and then our crone phase. And it's the same for the masculine as well. You have your young man, you have your kind of father or king energy, and then you go into your menopause and that shifting, changing energy. And then you come into the elderhood. And so, yeah, it's really big changing time at the moment. It's like a changing of the guard, a changing of from light to dark. In the south, you're coming into a light, so you can feel yourself, more light coming into your being every day. The hours are getting longer of daylight. And for us in the north here, we're starting to feel the light drift away, and we're starting to kind of become more restful and more deeper, and sinking into the darker time of the year and slowing down, hopefully. So I drew some tarot cards for the full moon, and I don't always show them on my video, but it feels really poignant today, so I felt like sharing. And so the first card that I got was the Priestess of Wands. So it's the Queen of Fire, and it's such a powerful picture. It's like, she's with the lion, there's a rainbow. There was a rainbow here in Glastonbury yesterday. She's got the roses in her hand. And so this is like the feminine in her power. She's a sovereign being. She is the Queen of Fire. And Venus just happens to be in Leo at the moment. And she's got a lioness next to her. So this is the energy of the feminine at the moment. So lots of us will be feeling this fiery feminine energy. And she's leadership. It's feminine leadership and passion and creativity. And she's done a lot of her healing. She is in this place now of power. And so the challenge now is like, because our masculine side collectively is the Son of Discs, but he came out reversed. So I'm going to turn him upside down. And it's like the Prince of the Earth is going backwards. He's upside down. He's like, ah. So this is the immature masculine, or the unevolved masculine. And he is going into himself. And he's returning to divinity, So Mars is retrograde in Pisces right now. And so he's returning to the water. She's in the fire, So you've got the fire and the water, and it's such powerful alchemy, the fire and the water. And so he's returning to himself. He's returning to the water of feeling. And it's like he's going back. And, he could be going through feelings of feeling inadequate. He's going through self-worth things, loss of faith in who he is, loss of identity. He's just becoming everything. And he's having to look at all of his wounds. And so the full moon, going into the lifetime sky now, the full moon is conjunct Pisces, conjunct Chiron. The full moon is conjunct Chiron. And so many of you know that Chiron is the wounded healer. So the moon conjunct Chiron, it's like in Pisces, and Mars retrograde in Pisces, who's also conjunct Black Moon Lilith, by the way. It's like, it's really asking, it's asking us to look at the wounds of the masculine, look at the masculine in ourselves, and how we abuse power or not, or how we have been abused, or how we like control things. And so the masculine is hitting rock bottom right now. He is in the underworld, he's in the womb, he's in the waters of feeling. And so the next card that came is the Devil. I love the Devil card because it's such a teaching. And so if you look at the Devil, it's like he is at the top of everything, and he's feeding people like treats for compliancy. If you be good, you get this. If you do what I say, you get this. And he's handing out to the people who are all in chains. See, and it's like he's at the top of the tower and he wants to keep himself there. And so this is quite an interesting card because it's asking us to look at the masculine in us, the masculine that is controlling things, and the structures that we have in our lives that are keeping us trapped, the chains that are binding us to the past, to our old stories, to our old patterns. And so what this, Mars retrograde is about, for me, it feels like we're really having to look at those patterns and ultimately surrender them. It's like we have the key to that which has chained us. We can release ourselves from that and swim in the infinite waters, but that takes so much courage, and a part of us maybe want to hold on to those things, those patterns. It becomes like an addiction, and we probably learned these things in childhood, or something happened to us when we was younger. And so, to let go of that, it's like we've been holding on to this our whole life. So it's like we've become really identified with these chains and these patterns of the Devil. But ultimately, if we want to find freedom from this, we really have to choose that for ourselves. And it takes a lot of self-awareness to kind of say, wow, this is the pattern, or that this is the belief that I hold, that I'm trapped in this idea. For me, I've been trapped in the idea that it's really hard and that I have to struggle. But, recently with all of these energies, I've been having to really look at that. Why do I feel like that? And then moving through it, and each time I get triggered, it's really triggering energy, this full moon. But each trigger is a gift, trying to see it like that, because each trigger is showing us ourselves. And it's not always about the other person who's triggering us. They're helping us. Like there's lots of triggers happening at the moment, and it's like we're pushing little buttons and we're all going, ow, ooh, ee, because we're having to see ourselves and our unevolved masculine, and our ego. Our ego is being like poked. And so how can we bring love to all this? How can we find our way back to love? And it comes from being aware of what's coming up and knowing what we need in ourselves. Like for me, when I get really triggered, the best thing for me to do is just move myself away and just take a few breaths, really ground myself and come back into my center and say, okay, what is my truth in this? What is this bringing up in me? What are my wounds connected to this trigger? And try not to be in such a reactive place, because a lot of the energies right now are really quite intense and reactive, and you might find lots of debates and dilemmas and ideas about who's right, and ego battles, about this way or that way, or this idea or that idea, or this is the way. But ultimately it's about the battle within ourselves, or the fight within ourselves, that isn't resolved. And so, yeah, each time I kind of feel myself like blaming someone, or saying that's wrong, or this is wrong, or just bringing it back to myself and saying, okay, what is this showing me? How can I learn from this? How can I love this? How can I move through this? And it really does feel like we have to become responsible of ourselves, We have to become responsible of our reactions. And yeah, so there's so much upheaval at the moment. And this time of the year, this half of the year is very transformative and really deep, And so this full moon as well, with the Pisces and Virgo going on, I had this idea pop in last night. Because Virgo, to me, I have an interesting kind of idea about the archetypes. I see the constellations as archetypes. And so a lot of what I feel a sign or a constellation is might be different from the kind of, I don't know, the norm. So when I share what I feel an archetype is or represents, it's coming from my idea, so I really invite you to make your own kind of feeling of who is Virgo, who is Pisces, what do they represent. And so Virgo to me is the priestess, and so she is immaculate about everything. And she needs to be, because to me, she is the high priestess. She is the governor of the coven. She is the one who creates the temple space, and in temple space, when we create an altar, we do it with intention. We do it precisely. We do it with, we stay in our center, and, it has to be beautiful and it has to be perfect, because this is the container for the divine to come in. So what I feel Virgo is Virgo is the creatrix of the container. She is the creatrix of the temple. And so, when you look at the axis, what the full moon is in Pisces, so the full moon in Pisces is like our connection, our psychic connection to the divine. It's the divine child. It's the cosmic ocean. It's the waters. It's the feminine feeling self. And so it's the stars. And so Virgo is creating this perfect, safe container, for all of that knowledge and wisdom to come in. It's the channel. And so to me, I feel like the Pisces Virgo combination is incredibly tantric. It's incredibly psychic. It's like bringing through the cosmic into the real, into these realms. And so I kind of, I get visions of like temple dance and invoking the goddess. That's the kind of energy that's coming through with this full moon. And so when we have Chiron in the picture and Chiron is conjunct the moon, what I'm feeling like what's coming in is we're getting an invitation to bring through Chiron, bring through our most wounded self from our past lives, from the karma that we hold, from our family constellations, and really look at it, tend to it, bring it into temple space and say, okay, what is playing out for me right now? And how can I move this energy? How can I witness this and express it? Maybe embody it and see, and maybe we're going to cry and release or scream or whatever, but create. The Virgo is asking us to create a safe container, a temple space, and then Pisces is bringing in that which is coming from the unseen or the unconscious. And so just, holding that in love as well, and probably doing it with others or in some kind of loving union can be really powerful, to witness that in ourselves and to really love that which is coming in. So yeah, our dream space at the moment could be extremely informative. We could get lots of revelations in our dreams about this unconscious or subconscious self that is still keeping us in chains. We might not even realize that we have this pattern or that we're doing it. So this time is really about self-responsibility, becoming our own savior. Because Chiron in Pisces can be like the savior, wanting to save everyone, or like, and to sabotage themselves, or put everyone else first. I've got to look after everyone else, and then sabotage their own well-being. And so this energy, it feels like Chiron is like, we need to be our own savior. We need to look after our own wounds. We need to become self-responsibility and see, ourselves. see our ego, see our unevolved masculine that's going back, and really just bring him into our heart. And the priestess of wands, or the queen of fire, she is like holding him. So it's like our masculine and our feminine are like going through a huge reform right now. And she is the queen of fire, and she's like, she's holding him, she's in her power, and just allowing him to fall, allowing him to dissolve into the water, and just witness that, and staying steady in her strength and staying steady in her power. Friggin' hell, it's a powerful time, isn't it? Okay. So we're healing some really deep stuff right now, aren't we? Collectively. Thank you for doing that. Thank you, all of you, for showing up and looking at your emotions and your boundaries and your triggers. And yeah, the full moon is powerful, and it's tonight. So let's go out there tonight when she comes and sing to her and thank her for all of our triggers, and thank her for all of the stuff that's been coming up, because it's helping us to heal, and it's helping us to rebirth into this new way, this new earth. So yeah, so on the next new moon here in the northern hemisphere, we will be starting a new 13 moon journey. And so yeah, I really want to invite you, if you haven't been following this, to start this journey with me, those of you in the north, obviously. So on the next new moon, I'll be offering like like a new moon introduction to 13 pillars of the moon, and the 13 moon journey. And if you want to join me on that, just please follow my page and find me on Facebook or Insta or wherever on YouTube. And we're going to be going on the 13 moon journey together. And so those of you who are in the southern hemisphere, you're halfway through your journey, because you are coming out into the light now. You're being reborn into the spring. And so your new year won't start until you get into autumn again and you get into your Samhain. So yeah, you're at the other end of the spectrum at your spring equinox. We've just had our autumn equinox. And so the equinoxes is like that changing of the guard, or the changing of light to dark. And so yeah, so we're about to start our new cycle. You're halfway through your cycle, and and it all kind of merges and meets in the middle. So yeah, thank you so much. I'm just going to breathe for a minute. Is there anything else? No, that's all. Yay, okay. Blessed full moon, blessed 13th moon for us here, the magical 13. So powerful. This full moon feels incredibly powerful. So yeah, and I will see you on the new moon. All right, my loves, blessed be. So much love.